Hello everyone and welcome to Halo Game Channel thingamajigger. Welcome back. So this is the Booster Blaster build part 2. And that is 4, so part 2. In the last one we kind of got over halfway through finishing off a prototype. So I have the basic ship, the placeholder one at the minute that can move, which is always handy. I've got the ground that it can glide on. I've got some obstacles for it to fly around, and I have a launch pad and a landing pad put in, but they don't do anything yet. So we're going to jump straight into this and see how far we can get into getting this prototype finished enough that that everything I want is and works. I just realized that my mic is miles away, so I'm just going to move this over. So hopefully you heard that intro, and if not, well, live and learn, I guess. So there's my lovely little ship that, as we will see, can fly. There we go, and it rotates and it moves. So I was saying in the last video, the controls still need to be tweaked. So the thrust amount and the rotation speed and all that kind of stuff all needs to be tweaked. But that comes, you try and get everything to work to a degree, and then you start tweaking things to make it more fun and more easy, more user-friendly, easier to play, that kind of thing. So that's basically the idea of the game, is you fly around the obstacles and get to the finished point, the landing pad at the other end, which will then, when it's ready and I have a second level made, the landing on the landing pad will load the next level. If you die, you go back to the first level. So we're going to jump in. So I'm doing a little bit of tweaking here, trying to get that's the rotation, the RCS thrust. Main thrust I'm bringing down quite a bit, so it's not going to go as fast. So that's, like, already you can see that's a little bit better. It seems to be, you can change direction easier. You're not going to go shooting off in one different direction. So that's already an improvement. Just throwing random numbers in to see what works. And I think already that is, it feels better for the game. Just, So, and that is the kind of the aim of everything, is to get, why make a game that doesn't feel good to play? Unless you're one of those, like, masochists that play games that are just kind of, for lack of a better term, awful things. I'm not going to give any examples because, people might disagree with me, and this is the internet, and God forbid I say something that people disagree with. I'd be hung, drawn, and quartered. Excuse me. I hope that wasn't too loud. I'm still suffering quite badly with hay fever, even though I have antihistamines and all that kind of stuff. So having a great time, kind of locked in my room, doing this. It's going to be plenty of time to do this. If you're watching the last video, which I recorded yesterday, I recorded it, edited it, and uploaded it yesterday. And during it, I happened to look at my phone and see a message that said that I had a college assignment due yesterday. And I said I was going to go and work on it. I did not, because it's actually not due till the 27th, so I've still got time. And I'm about halfway done on it anyway, so I'll get it done over the weekend. I'm very close to finishing all my assignments for this year. Yay. Finally, I did a PowerPoint presentation yesterday, so I really just have my write-ups for our audio class. I have one more write-up on a... That's very good. I have one more write-up on a small prototype that I had to do for an individual project this year. I have some recordings of that. It's called Snowball's Chance in Hell. And when we get to those videos, you'll see why it's called Snowball's Chance in Hell. So I have to do a write-up on that, and then I think the last thing I have to do is one more write-up on the big project that I keep talking about, the big third-person sci-fi kind of mammoth that I gave myself this year to do. So I have to do a final build on that, finish the final build, do one write-up on it, and then send that in. And then that will be everything done this year. So I'm getting there slowly but surely. And that final build for the big one isn't due until the 18th of May, which is quite good. So it's 24th of April, so I still got a bit of time to get stuff done. And once I get all these other things out of the way, it means I can dedicate a lot of time to doing that particular project, because it's just, I put a lot of work into it, and I gave myself a lot of work. So okay, so we're going to create a new script for the obstacles. Because, yeah, it's great to have obstacles that you have to fly around, but as we saw, getting around them is not that difficult. So what I'm going to do is I am going to make the obstacles move. And the obstacles are going to move in 3 dimensions. So while the ship can only move in 2 dimensions, it can only move horizontally and vertically on the X and Y axes. The obstacles will be able to move on all 3 axes, so the X, Y, and Z. So they'll be able to go in and out, as well as up, down, and left, right, which is going to be fun. Now, I've said before, like this particular project is something that I was doing myself during the summer when I finished my first year of college last year. And as we saw from the videos I have of what I did in first year coding, and basically everything. I mean, I was a complete beginner, and now I'm a slightly more experienced beginner. But coding was not my strong suit. I mean, even looking back at some of these videos, I can tell I've gotten better. So I don't mind saying that I've improved a little bit, which is good. I still have a lot more to learn and a lot further to go in it, but I'm making progress, which is good. So getting the obstacles to move, I have no idea how to do it, or had no idea how to do it. I could have just animated them and had a looped animation that moved them. That would have been one way to do it. But I have a Udemy course that I was looking at the time, and it basically showed this kind of thing, moving obstacles in a platformer. So I kind of just watched that and copied the script and applied it to the obstacles that I have here, which means that while it does work, I had no idea what any of it meant. We'll find out if I have any idea what any of it means when it comes up here, when I start typing it. It may take me a while to type because I believe I'm going backwards and forwards, pausing the Udemy course, coming in here and typing it. So, disallow multiple component. Don't know what that means. Already, what a good start. I have no idea. Disallow multiple component. I don't even know what that could mean, because I have more than one obstacle, so maybe it means I can't have more than one script on the obstacle? I don't know. And as always, my favorite things to use, serialized fields. I think every time I use serialized fields in a script, I'm just going to have to mention my teacher, who absolutely hates them. I wonder if part of me is still using them, especially with college work, just to piss him off. But I do find it handier, and I've said it, I think I'll say it in every video. If you're just a programmer, which is what my teacher is, maybe you don't realize the value of exposing certain variables in the inspector, so that a designer can go and tweak things and get the game feeling better without having to either go back to the programmer to get them to change the value to another random value, or going into the script themselves and having to change it and go back and forwards. For the likes of this, because the obstacles are going to be able to move in the 3 different axes, that's why we're using a vector 3. So by serializing that field and making it what is that word? I just used it a second ago. Making it words. You can edit it, I guess, in the inspector. Words, English language gone. Means that I can change how much and how quickly they move just in the inspector while I'm playing it, so that I can tweak those values. So then we've got a range. A range will be a value between whatever numbers you put in there. So obviously this is a range between 0 and 1 for the movement factor, which I'm guessing is a kind of a speed. So I'll be able to change that as well. So the vector 3 will let me change the direction. The movement factor will let me change the speed at which they're moving in that particular direction. And a vector 3 starting position is just where they are at the start. So yes, and I declare that down here. So the starting position is basically transformed up position. So it is, the position of the object at the start of the game. So then we've got the offsets. We're creating an update. So we're creating a new vector 3 offset, and it's going to be the movement factor multiplied by the movement vector. Okay. There you go. So it's basically whatever value I put in on any of the axes in the movement vector, I'm going to multiply it by whatever number I have in the movement factor. So between 0 and 1. And we're going to create another float. See, I'm understanding bits of it. But I do seem to remember something to do with a lerp and a math f or something. Or something that was used, and it's a mathematical term, and it basically means 2 pi. So 2 times pi. So instead of being 3.14, it's 6.28 or whatever the double of pi would be. And I have no idea really what that means. I don't know. So if memory serves, that was in the tutorial, and that is in this script. So cycles is time at delta time divided by period, but period is not a thing. So vector 3 movement is equal to... I feel like I'm jumping back and forth between the video here. It's a new vector 3. So we're going to have to put in values. Will it be 0, 0, 0, or... Oh, so I'm setting it at 10, 10, and 10. Okay. Again, that seems to be quite arbitrary for numbers, but we'll see how it works. It doesn't really matter, I guess, because I can change that in the inspector. So if having it at a value, starting it at a value of 10, 10, and 10 puts it somewhere odd in the game, I can just tweak it. We saw in the last video that when I was creating everything, I kind of zeroed it all out so that they were all at 0, 0, 0 to start with, and then I would move them up or where I needed them. So 10, 10, and 10 seems quite high, yeah, anyway. So float period, so I'm creating a period. I'm guessing so it's an offset. Speed at which they move, so it's going to be an oscillating kind of thing. So the period, and this script is actually a very good example of why I've said before that before I got into game dev, I kind of thought that I wouldn't be interested in it, that I wouldn't find it enjoyable, that I wouldn't be able to do the coding because well, I never really looked in tau. That was the word. 2 pi is equal to tau. Is equal to mathf dot pi. Maybe tau isn't. I've just named it tau. Oh, but pi times 2. Okay. Maybe tau is just the actual name, and Visual Studio doesn't have a value for it, but it has a value for pi because you can do mathf dot pi. So you're creating it times 2. There's a little underline there because I think I'm not using tau anywhere. I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't like the name. Anyway, yes, I thought that I couldn't. I wouldn't be able to wrap my head around coding because it seemed to me like just absolute gibberish. Whenever I saw like videos of people coding or screenshots of a screen of just code, it was like, how does any of that make any sense? And I thought there was a lot of maths involved. And the very first college I went to was a science college. Well, it was a college that had a science course that I was doing. And because I wanted to be a physicist when I was younger, for some reason. I And I lasted 6 months in that college before my brain just went, no, I can't do any of this. And then I went and studied acting for 3 years, which is the first college course that I completed, and then spent my 20s pursuing a career in acting that has led me to now be back in college in my 30s studying game design, because obviously acting is a very difficult industry to get into, and Ireland is a very small country. And while I did little bits and pieces, the career never took off, and I kind of felt I was getting too old to be broke and unemployed. So this script is a perfect example of what I was worried about when I got into game design, of there's just too much maths. So we've got a constant float tau, which is, I could have called that constant float poo for, but you name it, doesn't matter. But tau is the term of whatever twice pi is. So it's equal to mathf.pi multiplied by 2. I don't know what mathf is. I think it's just a mathematical function within Visual Studio's. Float raw sine wave, again, the name doesn't really matter, but and I said it in the last video, your naming conventions are important, because at least you can look at it and go, that's what that is. So in the rocket script, in the last video, we saw that I had called something RCS thrust. And I was assuming that it was the rotation. We'll actually see it. Can we see it anywhere here? If anybody can see it on the screen, because I can't quite. I know I put it up here somewhere. RCS thrust, there we go. I assumed it was the rotation because, from what I can remember, RCS is reaction control system, I think. I can't remember what the S is, but it's reaction control, I think. Whereas if I had just called that rotation speed, it would have been easier. So I'm just changing. Okay. I'm changing the rocket for some reason. I hadn't finished doing the obstacles, but I decided just to change the rocket instead. So we'll go back to the obstacles. So raw sine wave is. So the name is supposed to tell me what it is. Now, I know a sine wave is a kind of a waveform that just kind of goes. So it's equal to mathf, again, a mathematical function, dot sine, which is another thing that is like pi, sine, cos, tan. They're all within Visual Studios. So I'm multiplying it by the float cycles that I declare here. So multiply by tau. So, I kind of get what all this is doing in terms of, I know that I'm declaring all these and I'm using it here, and then movement factor, which is up here, so that range is going to be equal to the raw sine wave, which is what I'm setting here, divided by 2 plus a half. So I know what I'm doing. I have no idea why I'm doing it or how it works or what it is actually going to do in the game. But at least I can follow along the script and okay, that is what that is. Well, that is where that is, and that's how that's interacting with that. But why it's interacting with that, and why I've done it that way, and why it affects the object that it's attached to in the way that it does. I remember this game. I only did it during the summer. I know that it moves these obstacles. I know that has something to do with the sine wave, because it oscillates, it goes back and forwards. But I have no idea what any of that other gobbledygook was. Thankfully, so far in my college experience, it has not. I've not had to use mathematical stuff much. Coding is a lot more logic based so far, what I've seen, than mathematically based. At least at the level that I'm at, the beginner basic level. So you can see they're trying to move. But they're not wanting to move. They're trying their best. Interesting. They're kind of just jerking around a little bit. And the problem with not knowing what this script does is that I have no idea why this is happening, and I wouldn't know how to fix it. There is a possibility that I mistyped something or missed something when I was going from the tutorial video to this and typing stuff in. That can happen when you're copying stuff from online. which is why it's always better to type code yourselves. There may have been another way for me to do this in code. Like, I know I could animate it, and that would have been the easiest way to do it. It just would have meant that I couldn't. I would have to either animate everyone separately if I wanted them to go at different speeds or in different directions, or they wouldn't have been editable like these are. So I can have one script for every obstacle, and I can have every obstacle kind of going at different speeds and different directions. That is the value of this, rather than having to animate or have a couple of animations, one for each direction, and then however many different speeds you want and that kind of thing. Because I mean, once you have, I mean, you can duplicate an animated object and it will keep the animation. So it's not like I would have to have every obstacle animated. It just means any obstacle that would have a different movement direction or a different movement speed would have to be animated separately, and then reused. So at least it's one thing that I have to do. One script, it works for everything. There's probably, as there usually is in game design and coding and all that kind of stuff, most creative mediums, there's more than one way to do it. So vector 3 offset, movement vector, transform to position is starting position plus offset. So I don't know if that's going to make any difference. Because again, don't really know why I'm doing it. I just know that eventually it works. So they moved. So they moved. So the movement is working, but the oscillation effect, the repeating of the movement is not. And we're still getting some little jankiness and jerkiness there. So it seems like I might be copying this and pausing the video, coming back and doing this. That I probably paused this halfway through the video, because it seems like I've only gotten it halfway there. I've got them moving up, but they're not moving back down. But then I've got period there, and I've got the sine wave. So really, that I'm going to mess around with the ship again, I guess, because I'm getting annoyed with things not working. Where are we on the rocket? Doesn't seem to be doing anything. Interesting. I wonder why the rotation is. Oh, I'm falling over. Did I? What's the name? So the thing that I changed in the rocket script. Oh, they're out of the way now. I can just fly in front of them. So they must have moved on the z-axis, which is quite funny. Yeah, so the thing that I changed in the rocket script, again, I think it's because I ended up multiplying it by time.delta time. It smoothed everything out over frames, so it meant that I had to bump up the amount of thrust I was giving the rocket so that it would actually work. The obstacles are still not working. And I think that I will fix that. Well, I mean, I know I'll fix it because I have the project and I've played this game at this prototype. And yeah, so I know I definitely fix it. I just don't fix it in this one. We're going to do a supercut here to come into. Yeah. Okay, so I fix it, I just don't know when. Time.time instead of time.delta time. So that's just the time since the game is movement factor. That was at 0. That could possibly be the reason that. There we go. And then, so the movement factor is what's oscillating. So that's the sine wave. It's going between 0 and 1. So that's what's making it move. The movement vector, if I put that to 0, then it won't move at all on the x-axis. It'll only move on the y and the z, and if I put them down, then it won't. So now it's not going to move on the z-axis, it should just move up and down. That's on this particular one. Because as I said, I can put the script on all of them, and then change the values for each individual one. And then I can also change how quickly they move. And I think this is... So, I mean, once you get the script to work, it's actually quite handy, quite easy. But I might have to go through that script at some stage and see if I can figure out exactly what is going on in there and how this is all working. Because if I ever wanted to duplicate this for something else or do something similar that used an oscillating sine wave to move things straight into the wall, I'd have no idea how to replicate this kind of thing. So it would be good to know. Oh, and now I'm rotating in every different direction. And if I try to fly, I'm going to fly. So we're going to freeze the rotations. Stop playing it. There we go. If you make any changes while the game is playing, as soon as you stop playing it, those changes will disappear. So you'll have to redo them. So freeze the rotation on the X and the Y so that it can't rotate inwards, and it can't rotate around. So it can only just go. I think sometimes if you get hit, it still kind of knocks you a little bit. And there we go. Almost there. So you can see it's taken shape. So now I have moving obstacles, so I've made it a little bit more difficult. And again, all those values can be tweaked. And so pretty soon, it'll just be get the player dying thing. So if you hit the walls or you hit the floor, your ship is destroyed and you end up back at the start of the first level. Or the only level that we currently have. So we're going to try play it in full screen. Straight into a wall. Straight into a wall. Oh, wow. Yeah, I suck at this game, by the way. I made it, and I suck at it. Hey. But there you go. Very easy when flying directly into things does not destroy you. Just land wherever you want. That is not what we want. But the ship moves, the obstacles move. I'm upping the thrust by quite a bit. Let's see how this works. Whoa. Too fast. Way too fast. I mean, I think the 1,000 thrust was okay. I mean, it looked okay. That's just way too quick. Unless you really wanted to make it more difficult. Whee! I mean, it's quite satisfying just flying that ship around. Without having any goal in mind or any gameplay loop. Like, literally, you could just fly it as much as you want. But it's a start. I'm doing some tweaky things. I'm actually leaving that as it was. I don't know why. I think that's a bad idea. Just changing. If it's difficult to get around the obstacles, make the ship smaller. Get back here. Boom. Not bad, eh? Trust me, I still suck at the game. But, now we need to implement the damagey, destroy the shippy, bitty thingy majigger, which I hope we're going to do now. And that really, I could tweak. What am I doing? Taking something out of it. Oh, I'm taking the freeze rotation thing off and putting it in there. So if you're rotating, you're freezing the rotation. I don't really understand that or know what that means. Again, that's probably something that I found online, and I'm using because I was told to, and I wasn't told why or what it does, or maybe I was, and I just don't remember. I mean, I don't see any difference. It's rotating. I mean, it's hard to tell if this is just me being messing, or like, well, that shouldn't happen. Oh no. So I don't know what that line of code is. I don't know if it's doing anything, if it's making things better or worse. I just don't know. But it's in there. Oh, I will endeavor to stop hitting my mic every time I record one of these videos. We're going to take a look at the scene view, and we're going to have a look at what we got. What do we got? What are we going to do? We're going to make a 3D object. We're going to make a cube. We've got a cube. I'm going to take that cube. I'm going to move it. We're going to scale it. Scale it a lot. I'm going to move it again. We're going to make a wall, I guess. Not in the middle of the whole thing, because that would just be weird. At the back. Now, you could argue that you don't need a wall at the back, seeing as you can't fly in that direction. But it just... I mean, even if you just make it black, it just looks, rather than having that empty grey void that comes as standard with Unity, the default. You could put in a background image. You could put in anything you want, really. But I've just made a wall. And a very pretty wall, I think it is, too. I'm taking great care to place it properly. Even though all that matters is how it looks in the game view. Literally nothing else matters. Okay, so just do some tweaking. So I'm doing some tweaking to the level before I have implemented the damage and the destroy the ship and that kind of stuff. Now, I personally, even though this is me doing this, I personally think it's better to get everything that you need to get done. So get your basics done, and then work on actually building out the level design and building stuff around it. So, but I have said it before, I'm really bad at that kind of thing. I should make little to-do lists and little notes and sketches, which I don't do. And that's how I end up jumping from one thing to the other, because there's just so much, and I dropped my pen. Oh, sad times. Yeah, there's just so much to do when you're making a game that it can be overwhelming, and you can kind of go, well, what should I do next? And sometimes you just want to kind of make it a little bit more fun. Maybe I wanted to have a level that was fun to fly around and difficult to fly around before I made it more difficult by making your ship blow up every time it hits something. Which I'm pretty sure I knew I would be hitting everything. So maybe I'm just being kind to myself and giving myself a chance to have fun with the level I'm making before making it incredibly difficult for myself. And again, this was just a project I was working on for fun during the summer, just to keep practicing the skills. And so I had no kind of deadline or set goals in mind for anything, really. So it was just messing around, having a bit of fun, proof of concept, prototype for a game that I could potentially work on in the future. And I can potentially work on in the future. So I've got all the basics that I managed to finish over the summer. It's not everything, but it's a start. So if I ever did want to revisit this and make this, I've got a good foundation now. I've got a prototype that works. I've got scripts that work, and then it would literally just be level design. Maybe make some assets. If I make instead of the blocks, make it a kind of a setting and have the assets and the ship and everything matching to that setting. So a little bit of 3D modeling maybe, to make it look good. And then so I've got the scripts, level design, scripts and level design, the models, and then you're basically good to go. Once I have all the levels and the models. Oh yeah, and then I could add in any other little extra bits that I wanted to. So if I wanted to like enemies and shooting mechanics and that kind of stuff, I could add that in. And so that would be the only other scripting that I would really need to do if I ever wanted to go back to this. Because by the end of this prototype, everything will have been implemented to a playable point, which is great. Ooh. So I'm going to mess around. Just going to mess around. It seems like a bad idea to put it there, seeing as the ship launches right up. And if you get killed by hitting anything, you're really just going to go straight into it and die. There we go. It'll give you a little bit of room to move. I mean, I wanted the game to be difficult. I didn't want it to be like that difficult. Impossible. Where are we at? Where are we at? So I'm just duplicating cubes, creating an empty game object. No, I'm not. I'm not doing that. That was a bad idea. Don't do that. Don't create an empty. Copy that. Got it. Copy that. Get rid of it. I see. Instead of making new cubes, I'm going to use the existing obstacles that I have. So I've just got a few different obstacles. They're as prefabs that I can drag in as much as I want and use them in any scenes. So that's handy. So we're going to just create another one. Yeah, pop that into that. Obstacles, it's got a material in it. Yeah, okay, okay. Pop in the material. Pop in a material. Okay, they've all got materials. Cool, cool, cool. Bring out another block. Cool, cool. Oh, yeah. Put it somewhere. Cool. And then scale that around and yeah. Yep, cool, cool. Make it a little bit more difficult. I see. And again, I have no real idea in my head of what I want this level to look like. I'm just dragging and dropping cubes and scaling them and just throwing them out kind of however. Which is fine for a prototype. It is, I swear, okay? It's my prototype. If I don't want to have any kind of solid plans or well, I had goals, but I had no plan, really, for this kind of thing. That's fine, it's fine. It's my whole thing. And I am very much aware that I have completely covered the landing pad, which will make it a little bit more difficult to get to, I guess. But hey, everybody loves a challenge, right? Oh. Interesting to watch. I can actually just picture myself sitting at the screen just going, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna maybe scale that and maybe just throw up here maybe and just, okay, that looks fine. We're gonna put another one down. Maybe just put it here and we're gonna And then where's that stupid little landing pad? But that's the material, not the actual object, you gobshite. So you're gonna have to actually look at the fucking object. There you go. That's the launch pad, dumbass. There you go. At the time, I probably wasn't yelling that at myself. That is present me yelling that past me. So I'm making a little indent thing, making just more difficult to get to the landing pad, which is fine. It will really see how the game plays. Oh yeah, that looks good, doesn't it? Just sawing right through the ceiling. Well, we have to fix that immediately because you can't have something like that. So you just put it at the top, or don't. What am I doing? Come on out. Hello, he don't know what the fuck he's doing anymore. No, that's not right. In case anybody's wondering, no, I can't play that keyboard. It is now over by my computer so that I can hook it up using a MIDI USB connector and use it in Reaper to do sound effects and stuff like that for my audio module. But I don't know how to play it, so it'll be quite interesting to see if I can get anything out of it. Might be able to get sound effects if you... There you go. That's pretty cool, isn't it? What did you do, you absolute numpty? That cube shouldn't be a child of the rocket. And it should also have a name, because everything has to have names. We got to keep it all... got to keep our naming conventions up and our organization up. Now, I'm not being very organized with the hierarchy at the minute. I should create an empty game object and put all the obstacles in it. Call the empty game object obstacles and then collapse that down so that they don't take up so much room. But see, fly it around. So you go. Don't hit the thing. Yep, you're close. There you go. Kind of makes me think of this whole design with the kind of jagged things. Makes me think of the Superman's Fortress of Solitude, just with all the icicles kind of coming everywhere. So not intentional, just looking at it now, I'm kind of going, oh. Now, I'm not the biggest DC fan, so I'm always more Marvel. Ships is still getting knocked and going in different directions. I don't know why that is, because I have the freeze transforms down. But then in coding, I'm saying freeze transform is false after some point. So maybe that line of script that I'm not sure why it's there is actually causing this problem. And it wouldn't if I had just stuck to the thing that I originally did in the last episode, which was just click the, or I did it in this episode actually, click the freeze rotation buttons on the rigid body. Okay, so we're going to download some music. This is royalty-free music from Production Crate, sfx.productioncrate.com. There you go. I'm going to just turn up my desktop. Desktop audio, so you can kind of... Whoa! Too much. So I'm just going through trying to find some music that works for what I want. Not necessary to do at this stage, considering I don't even... Yeah, I've heard that music so many times while making this game. That is the one I choose. And every time I die, it restarts. And I died a lot, so I've heard that. Dum, dum. More times than I would care to imagine. Remember. Imagine? I don't need to imagine. I lived it. I lived through it. And just in case anything else weird happens, I'm going to turn down my desktop audio. Or will I turn it back up? Are we going to do more? Pro tip, you can actually drag from there straight into Unity. rather than opening the whole mess of shit that I've downloaded. I have since, while procrastinating to do my college work, I cleaned up my computer. I believe I discussed this in a recent video. I did delete everything in my downloads folder because anything that goes in it that I need, I take out of my downloads folder and I either I copy it over somewhere else. So it's still on my computer if I need it. If not, it's out of that folder. Everything is empty. Oh, we'll turn the desktop audio back up so you can get the full... You've got to fly around with that music. Bam, bam. Oh, it's gone. I was doing something. I was doing my group project this year. And I was putting audio into it and testing it. And I hadn't coded audio to work in a while, so I was like, why isn't this working? And I tried loads of different things, and this little thing, mute audio, was ticked, which means that when I played it, the audio was muted. And it took me ages to figure that out. And this is not the first time that that's happened to me. That is a lesson that I had to learn twice, is to unmute the audio. I think Unity saves it if you've ticked it in a project and then gone out of it, and I tend to tick it. Especially when I was working on this, I muted the audio a lot because that music, while I do like it, it got annoying to listen to every single time I hit play. Private flute. So what do we do in obstacles? So this is the obstacle script. Is transitioning equals false? Is transitioning. Okay. There you go. Yeah, a bool. I was wondering. A float is not a true or false statement. A float is a decimal point value. And Boolean is true or false. But is transitioning. Hey, if you want to transition. That's be who you want to be, you know? I'm just wondering where I'm ever going to use that bool and what it's there for. And it's gone. Am I going to put it into the rocket? I am. It's transitioning, so it's false. So why would I need that to be false? What would I set it to true for? The only thing I can think of right now is transitioning from one level to another, so loading a level. I can't think of anything else in this game that would be called transitioning. Void dying. Oh, maybe it's transitioning. Yeah, from dying to reloading the level. You can't do an on-collision enter within another function because on-collision enter is a function. So you'd have to do that outside. It just automatically works anytime there's a collision. Also, I accidentally deleted a curly bracket down here, which links to the one at the top. So I'm going to get massive errors if I don't realize that. As you can already see, there's a little squiggly red line there. And you can see that there's these little dots that connect all the curly brackets. There should be one coming right down the edge, and everything within that is the code that gets executed. Until I close that curly bracket, none of this is going to get executed, and I'm going to get popping. I'm going to get popping. I'm going to get a lot of errors. Well, not a lot of errors. I'm probably just going to get one massive error saying that all compiler errors need to be fixed before I can play the game. But we'll see if I figure it out before I go back to Unity. This is something that I have done a number of times and not realized it, so I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't notice. So if collision.gameObject.friendly is I can read, I swear, I just can't talk. That's the problem. So if we're colliding with something that is tagged as friendly, which if you watch the previous episode, we know that the landing pad and the launch pad are tagged as friendly. So if you're on them, nothing happens.
Otherwise, so basically if you collide with anything that has any other tag, we're going to destroy this object. You don't really need to do it that way, destroy.game, or you can just kind of destroy and then brackets. Destroy and then brackets. Brackets. Destroy and then brackets. There you go. Brackets. Just destroy. Put in the brackets. And then if you... So you could just put in... object.destroy. No. That's not a thing. This is me knowing the words that need to be used. So this is, I've said this before, especially with coding. You know that it's possible. You know the words that need to be used. You just don't know what order they go in, or how they're supposed to link together. So, I mean, I know now because I've used destroy a lot that you just put destroy, call it as a function, which means that you put put brackets after it, open and close, and then you can put in whatever object you want to destroy. So game object will mean the object that the script is attached, and then if you put a comma and a float after it, it will do it after that number of seconds. So I am not sure. Okay. We're going to use scene manager to reload a scene. So I can't destroy the object because I can't figure that out. But what I can do is reload the scene. So at least we'll still know if I've died. Scene manager dot load scene 0. Because in computer language you start at a 0, not a 1. I need to set that up in the build settings within Unity. So I don't know if I do that. Oh, I've noticed the error. I did. Wow. I'm proud of myself. I'm going to give myself a high five. Yeah, I think I did good. Build settings. You basically want to add the scene to it. So remove that one, scene 1. So you can see the first scene there, it was at 0. Any other scene you add after that will go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how you can access them. Get the music coming. Boom, boom. Oh, and I already hit something. There you go. I suck it. This is what I mean. This is why I muted the audio. Because I was sick of hearing that. I said in the last episode that there's a 13-minute video of me trying to get through this game. That was when I had 3 levels, 13 minutes. This is not that bit. As bad as I'm doing... Let's say I was doing it on purpose, just to make sure that everything I collided with reloaded the level. Again, yeah, just... I want to make sure... This is the easy way. This is the way of cheating when you're testing things. I know what I'm going to do. I wanted to make sure that the landing pad was safe, so that if I hit the landing pad, it wouldn't die. And I'm just cheating by putting it there at the start. And that worked, rather than have to constantly fly around the place. Of course, it doesn't mean that it's going to start there forever now, unless I bring it back to the launch pad, which I'm sure I will. Because I can see into the future, as far as this game is concerned. Because it's already been recorded. Where are we at? 54 minutes. Almost time to end this episode, but there's 19 minutes left in this video. What to do? Let's scrub through me dying. See how long that takes. So that's dead, dead, dead. Oh, we're back. What did we do there? Did we do anything? Did we do anything interesting? No, I just literally moved it down a tiny little bit to make see. Is that easier to? Oh, it's so close. That's what I mean about this game being so annoying. It's so... Yeah! I did it. I did it. I did it. That's pretty cool. I think you'll all agree. That was pretty cool. I scrubbed through this video earlier. I know that there's a part where I just stop doing stuff. But it's not here. So I'm deleting the sample scene because I'm not using that. This is all saved under level 1. So don't worry about that. I'm duplicating it, so I'm starting the second level. Interesting stuff. Oh my god. I got too excited. I almost choked on my own excitement. So we're gonna say. So is this where is I'm gonna add something in here, but load scene 1. The problem with this is if the launchpad is tagged as friendly, it's going to load the next scene immediately. If it's not tagged as friendly, I'm going to die immediately. So, and then we'll just get the, there we go, and you might have saw that the thing that the thing is in, the Yoki Bob, the level got darker when we loaded it, and that was because I didn't bake the lighting. So I have it on to bake the lights, but I have to do it for each individual level in this particular scene, because I remember having that issue and wondering why the hell it was happening. I Googled it for ages until somebody was like, you need to bake the lights on everything, on every scene. And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. So, and I did that and it worked fine. So collision.gameObject_tag, so if it's equal to, let's just set a new thing specifically for the launchpad. That is the material, right? Close the material thing down and go into your prefab. This is... I have no idea what that was. Oh, I feel like I was going to say something, completely forgot what I was going to say, and I just came out with a very strange little... Oh, sometimes I make myself laugh. And you know what? If you can't make yourself laugh, what's the point? It's got to be funny. Funny. Life is funny. Life is funny. Okay. So what I'm doing is, if it's tagged friendly, nothing happens. So I'm going to leave the launchpad as friendly. I'm going to change the landing pad to finish, which I've done. Landing pad finish. Okay. So now I won't just immediately die every time or reload the next level anytime that this happens. So what am I trying to do? Rendering light settings. Oh, I did know this. Interesting. I'm turning off auto generate lights. Put my light thing down there. Doesn't want to. Yep. Nope. The lighting window has a very specific size it needs to be. Doesn't like you messing with it. What do we got here? 14 minutes left in this video, so we might go a bit over the hour. I try to keep these to an hour because I think an hour is long enough to have to watch and listen to me anyway. I have seen other YouTubers that they do hour-long videos or even longer ones, and you'll see in the comments people going, oh, I wish you'd do a half-hour video because it's hard to watch an hour in one time. I actually prefer watching longer videos, so I've turned off auto-generate lighting, so the lighting is just fucked. This could be quite nice for an atmospheric level. I did want to do a dark level and have a spotlight on the nose that would point at the obstacles, and that is, it's on my list of things that if I ever get back to this, we will do. Let's just scrub through this. I'm dying. Just there we go. Yeah, no, I prefer to watch the hour-long stuff most of the time, especially with things like things that I find interesting, like this. Okay, I'm just gonna look. Level 2. I'm gonna change level 2 so that I can actually, because I duplicated level 1. It is the exact same layout, so it's going to be hard to tell whether I've died or gotten to level 2 because they'll look the exact same, level 1 and level 2. So, excuse me, just changing the layout a little bit. Anyway, I prefer the hour-long stuff if it's something interesting and engaging, and I hope that this is interesting and engaging for whoever's watching it. And if it's not, well then, you don't have to sit through the whole hour of it. I'm not kind of forcing anybody to watch these videos. the half-hour stuff is fine. But even if I'm watching an hour-long thing, like YouTube saves your progress. Like you can watch 10 minutes of it and then come back and jump right back into where you were. Like I watch a lot of Critical Role on YouTube because I'm a huge nerd and I love D&D, and obviously those guys, Matt Mercer and the crew, do an amazing job. But they're 4-hour long episodes. Now sometimes I will sit for 4 hours and watch them if I get really sucked in, but then a lot of the times I'll watch maybe an hour and then move on to something else. So yeah, you're free to watch as much or as little of this as you want. But I try to keep it to the hour just because I think even for talking for an hour can be quite... I don't want to say taxing, but I can feel my throat is getting dry and I'm already struggling with words. So I think going on for too much longer is a bad idea. So this is level 2. So you can see it's got a slightly different layout. And I even changed that. I will keep it going. So we're a minute over. I know some of the other videos have gone a few minutes over the hour as well, and that's fine. We're almost at the end now, so bear with me. And we will be done soon. I just want to get to the end of this one. So I'm making everything on orange just to make it uniform. Doesn't really make a difference. Let's just jump and see. Oh, I'm changing the direction, so this one's going to be moving, that's going to be moving. So I'm just kind of, and that's the handiness of having the script, is that I can just make each of these go without words. I can make each of these go in whatever direction I want with all using the one script, so without having to again double up on work. Even if I don't necessarily understand the script. So we got a little issue with this cutting here, which I'm going to fix. It's going to fix that. Let's just, there we go. So you got to jump out at the right time. And I'm going to make that, okay. I'm going to, there we go, okay, we're getting there. I swear to God, just play the fucking game. And there's no lights. Okay. So we're back at level 1. So this is me testing, can I get from level 1 to level 2, and will that work? Or it will be if I actually do anything. Come on. Do I do anything? I don't. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, so cliffhanger, can I get from level 1 to level 2? Great, well that's kind of makes it easier. It's almost like I planned it. So we're going to end it here, and then the next one we're going to find out if I can get from level 1 to level 2. We're also going to put in some particle effects at some stage and all that kind of stuff. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming up, so stay tuned for that. If you like the video, hit the like button. Share it with anyone you think might be interested in seeing this kind of cool stuff, and consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon so that you can stay up to date on all the cool content I got coming out. So thanks very much, guys, and I will see you next time.